Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the St. Mark's Kids Chat. We're happy to be back with you guys. We were out of town for a couple of weeks, and we're excited to be back in the swing of things.
Oh, out of state.
Yeah, we were out of state. We went on a long road trip. And in fact, that actually leads us into what our Sunday school lesson is a little bit about. So in our Sunday school lesson, we are learning about Abram and how he follows God's directions and trusts in him. And it comes to us from Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 8. Now, during this time period, his name was called Abram, but later down the road, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. His name is actually called Abraham, which is what you guys might know him as Abraham. But during this time period, he was called Abram, and we're going to get into that in later lessons as to why his name changed a little bit. So, not Abraham Lincoln, somebody different. So in this Bible passage, God gave Abram some really specific instructions. He said to him, are you ready? He said, sell everything that you can't carry and leave your friends and family and all of your, people who you know behind in your hometown of Haran. And I want you to bring your wife, whose name was Sarai at that time, although she's called Sarah later. Again, we'll talk about that later in later lessons. And he brought a friend named Lot. And all of his belongings. And then he said, I'm going to tell you where to go. You're going to go to a place called Canaan. And so how would you feel? Do you think it would take a lot of trust to sell everything you own and leave everybody, almost all of your friends and some of your extended family behind and go to a place you've never been? What do you think? Would that take a lot of trust in God? Right? It sure would, right? So to leave everything familiar and go to an unknown destination would take a lot of trust. So let's have a little bit of background about Abram. He's about 75 years old at that time. So at 75 years old, he's not super old. He still can do stuff, but, he's no spring chicken at that point, right? So if you're 75 years old and God says, I want you to you have to bring basically what you can carry and all of your livestock. So can you imagine if we brought all of Grammy's goats with us on our road trip that we just went on? How do you think that would go? Would that be hard?
Yes.
To bring all those goats, all of the livestock, and all of the bags, because we had it easy. We were just, got, in our car for the most of the time and we were driving. But did they have cars back then? No, they didn't have cars back then.
They had camels.
They had all kinds of animals that they could put, some of their stuff on to help carry it. But, it would have been a hard trip for them, don't you think? To go hundreds of miles away. So he had to trust God, right? The terrain wasn't all that great either, right? I mean, it's not like you're, going through an area like a regular road, right? Like they didn't really have normal stuff like what we have, freeways and all of that like today. So, but you know what? God had a promise for him. Do you know what he promised him? He says, I will make you into a great nation, and I will also give you this land. So the Lord appeared to him after he got to Canaan, after he did that big, long journey, and he appeared to him and he said, I will give this land to you, and it's going to be for you and your ancestors too. So, and then he built an altar after that. So we're going to do a little activity that just kind of reminds us about how we can trust God, right? So we didn't, he didn't quite know at this time, what exactly God had planned, right? So, but we know that God's plans are always good. So we're going to do a little activity. I have a Ziploc full of water here. And then we have a package full of colored pencils. So Sawyer, will you take out 3 pencils from this little container real quick?
And it says that they're sharpened on it.
They are sharpened. So take out 3 pencils. Doesn't matter what color they are.
Yeah.
Here, you can dump them out so they can come out a little faster. So take out 3. So 1, 2, 3. So you hold the pencils. And Max, you stand right there. You stand right here. Max, you're going to be the person who's going to have to trust. You're going to be like Abram, okay? So I'm going to hold this over your head. And Sawyer, you're going to poke a hole through this little Ziploc bag. So do you think that water's going to come out if that happens, if we poke holes into a Ziploc? What do you think? All right, so Sawyer, poke a hole, just one at a time, one at a time. One at a time. Yeah, so poke a hole all the way through the whole thing, gently. So push it. So just push it. Push, 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 push. Look what happened. Is there water coming out? Let's show everybody at home that there's actually a pencil poking through here. Did any water dump onto Max's head?
I wish it did.
Try another one. Try another one, Sawyer. Put it like right here.
I'm a magician.
What do you think? Push, push, push. Push hard. Did any more water come out? We have two pencils. Two pencils poked through this Ziploc.
Let's see if the yellow
Let's do the last one. Let's see. Let's see if it makes any difference. What do you think? So push it all the way through. There you go. Is any water dumping on Max's head right now? No, no. So this just shows us that even when we think something bad's gonna happen, right? We know that we can trust God, right? Like we fully thought that this water was gonna dump all over his head. All of this unknown, right? So all of this water represents all of the fears and things like that maybe Abram and his family were thinking about when God said, oh, you gotta, take your whole family and, all your livestock and go to this new land, right? There was a lot of fear maybe behind that, but guess what? We know that we can trust God, just like we can trust that these pencils aren't going to poke through and drip water
and it said
all
that they were
over
sharpened.
Max's head. Alrighty, so have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.